Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Book Hunting. Um, I just went to a surprise library book sale. Well, it was a surprise to me. Uh, People in the know have probably known about it all week. But in any event, I wanted to do a hopefully quick video on this pretty good haul I got. Um, just a little bit of backstory. Main branch of the public library in a neighboring county was closed down it seems like 2 or 3 years ago. They had some structural and architectural issues that needed to be addressed at the main branch library. And so we've been doing without it for quite a while. And it was one of my favorite libraries to hunt. I've historically found some really neat stuff. And, oftentimes they will do the fill a bag for $1 kind of ongoing sale. Anyway, it's always been kind of a sweet spot for me. And I heard last week that the library was having their grand reopening of the facility, and so on a hunch, I decided to go down and see what was going on in the hopes that they were back to their ongoing book sales. Uh, Once again, to my surprise, they were having a massive Friends of the Library sale to clear out things that needed to go. Um, a lot of it's excess stuff, but a lot of it's donated stuff. In any event, I'm going to try and go through there. I found I think, some really interesting stuff. So, without further ado, let's take a look. Uh, um, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I got 7 hardback books and about 20 paperbacks. And if my math is right, I spent like $12.50 to get all these books. Anyway, let's run through them. In no particular order, because my bag is kind of a hodgepodge. First thing on top, the first Redwall book by Brian Jacques. Uh, um, I have a very good friend who has a sweet spot for these. And even though the series has been around a while, they continue to sell well. So that's going to be a donate. Uh, The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket, the second of the series of Unfortunate Events books. Um, and I like this edition. And I've been finding quite a few in this setup. Uh, Seems like, the last few weeks of hunting. Anyway, Lemony Snicket stuff is still very popular. So once again, this is going to get donated. And when I say donate, it means it's going to the Hatter Bookshop. And uh, something I've been saying lately. These books are going to the shop today, and um, I just want to let everybody know they won't be available for sale probably for a couple days, probably Monday or so. They've got to clean these books, price them, and then get them out into their inventory. So anything you see that I'm telling you is going to go to the bookshop, wait a few days. I'm going to try and leave links to their website and to their Facebook page. If you're not physically able to get to the store, which is located in Princeton, West Virginia, uh, by all means, you can order online. They will ship anywhere. Okay, next up, something kind of neat from my 80s past. A Doctor Who novel featuring the Fourth Doctor. There's Tom Baker wearing his hat. um, Read a few of these back in the 80s, and actually his part of the series predates when I was reading these things, but I was watching the show on PBS, and so I was several seasons behind. Anyway, I always pick these up because there are a lot of nerds like me who remember the show from the 80s and particularly are big Tom Baker fans. Uh, I won't be terribly controversial, but I will say he's one of the most popular doctors in the show's run, but particularly the old school Who. The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. And the reason I got this one is because it's a Newbery Award winner. And there are people who collect them merely because it's a Newbery Award winner, which is, of course, the premier award for children's literature. Once again, going to the Hatter. Oh, a modern library classic of an author I'm not familiar with, V.S. Pritchett. His essential stories or her essential stories. I don't even know if I know that little about uh, this work. Oh, actually, reading the back of it. Uh, oh, it's talking about the editor, edited by Jeremy Preglow, if I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, I have a sweet spot for classic lines, and modern libraries, one of my faves. It's not quite up to penguin status, but I do like the way these things are designed, and often the critical apparatus you get with it are very good. So that is going to go home with me, at least for now. Uh, but anyway, and who knows? Maybe someday I'll even read it. Next. Oh, a nice paperback of Wizards of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. I already have this one, so it's going to go to the Hatter. But Ursula Le Guin is great. The Earthsea books are her her most popular fantasy books. She's probably well, I wouldn't say more well known. She's gotten more acclaim for her science fiction, but plenty of fans for this as well. You know, like I say, great fantasy stories. They're all very good. And this is the first book, so a good entry point for somebody who wants to sample it. Once again, go to the Hatter. Uh, Collection of short stories by J.D. Salinger, who's most famous for Catcher in the Rye. I've read Catcher in the Rye, but I've never read any short fiction. This is in a Little Brown uh, publisher's edition, and because of where I got it, the cover is coated in hard plastic. I'll probably go ahead and donate this one. Uh, I like Salinger all right, but I don't necessarily need this, and it's gonna have a whole lot more use if I let it go to the store. So that one will be going to the Hatter. Next, I've got this little Everyman's uh, library. This one's Pocket Poets, and it's the poem Eugene Onegin and Other Poems by, of course, Alexander Pushkin. I love these little books. This one I'll probably hold on to. I love these things. There's, you know, what the naked hardcover looks like. I've got a few of these, and they're just so quaint. I've read some Pushkin. I don't think I've read any of these poems. I don't think I've ever read any of his poetry. But yeah, this one's staying with me. Okay. Ah, here's one I've also read probably most of. It's a collection of poems by Walt Whitman, including, obviously, Leaves of Grass, his probably most well-known work. Not a bad little ex-library edition. The art's kind of interesting, you know. City and shipping, you know. Uh, in any event, this will go to the Hatter. I'm fairly certain I've already got a collection of Whitman. I think in a Reader's Digest, so I don't need to duplicate. Driving not to duplicate anymore. But in any event, one of the great American poets, well worth reading. And if you want it, it'll be at the Hatter very soon. Oh, let's see. Another Ursula Le Guin, and this one is one I have not read. So obviously this one's staying with me. And there she is, the late great Ursula Le Guin. I know nothing about this book, but but according to the cover, the award-winning author Ursula Le Guin comes in an highly anticipated addition to her acclaimed Hainish cycle, and I've read several of those. Left Hand of Darkness, The Dispossessed, you know, her most prominent ones. But this one's been under my radar. But yeah, I'll keep it. Ursula Le Guin is a very interesting writer. I enjoy her work. So I'll just keep it short. This one's gonna stay. All right. Next is a couplet. Uh, A Wrinkle in Time. Looks like the movie tie-in cover. or a movie tie-in cover, because it mentions the film from Walt Disney Studios, and of course has the mouse's trademark. And in the same sale, I also found A Wind in the Door, which is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second book in the series. I think I eventually had like at least 5 books. Read both of these, um, and don't feel necessarily compelled to keep them. So these are both going to the Hatter. Madeline Langle is a good writer, good stories. This is, of course, targeted for younger audiences. And when I read them, I was probably in middle school. In fact, I know I was in middle school in the event. Uh, Found both of these in different parts of the room, but both at the same library sale. Off to the Hatter. Oh, let's see. Oh, one I'm keeping. This is an edition of You Only Live Twice by Ian Fleming that I have never seen before. It's an American publisher, Thomas and Mercer. I am not familiar with it all. It's got to be fairly recent because it's like a $15 trade paperback. Let's see if I can see the publication date. Looks like it was published. This edition was published in 2012. And of course, I keep older editions of Ian Fleming as part of my cultural preservation project because there are, let's say, creative modern editors out there who think that they can improve upon Ian Fleming and do so without even letting you know. If you get an edition of this published in the last couple of years, it's not the same book. So I'm collecting older editions, and I'm sure 2012 should be safe to preserve it, at least for me. Okay. And here's a library edition, a Library of America edition of William James's writings, the writings from 1902 to 1910, including The Varieties of Religious Experience, Pragmatism, Pluralistic Universe, The Meaning of Truth, and Some Problems of Philosophy. I have an old beat-up copy of The Varieties of Religious Experience. This will replace it. And I love, love, love Library of America editions. They're sturdy. You get your little bookmark, acid-free paper. In fact, I typically will give up my Penguin if I get one of these to replace it. But yeah, that one's obviously staying with me. Next one is staying with me. 2 reasons. One, as you can see, somebody's marked an X across this one. This is, of course, Dune Messiah, the second book of the Dune series by Frank Herbert. It's in kind of rough shape. You know, and I'm keeping this one so my wife can read it. I coaxed her into reading Dune, and I'm going to have this available so if she wants, she can read the next book, and you can get the full arc of Paul Atreides' story, at least it's the initial part of his story. I've often thought Dune and Dune Messiah really together are one work. I kind of have them as one work in my mind. And if you stop reading the Dune series with Dune, you might walk away thinking Paul Atreides is an okay guy. No spoilers, but anyway, a lot of people I know who were reading Dune back in the day did not like Dune Messiah. Did not like Dune Messiah because it was very unsettling after reading Dune. But anyway, that one's staying. Don't know if it's in good enough shape to even donate to the store, but it's good enough for my wife to have a read if she's so inclined. All right. Ooh, I got a very nice Simon & Schuster Enriched Classic of Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, of course, by Mark Twain. I've got a few of these. This is, of course, a very ex-library. Um, uh, and this is one of my lower tier classic lines as far as my preference. But they are good books, and they are quote unquote enriched. You get lots of commentary, lots of additional editorial apparatus, and I've already got a nice edition of Connecticut Yankee, so this one is going to go to the store, and it'll be a nice addition to their classic section. Okay, what do we got next? Oh, Change of Pace, Danielle Steele, A Perfect Stranger from 1983. And I got this as part of my ongoing project to help a collector get a hardback of every Danielle Steele novel ever published. With this one and another one, I found a different spot this past week. I think we're only 11 books away, and most of the ones that are left were published in the last year. Danielle Steele averages 5 or 6 titles a year. So my thought is I have to find one Danielle Steele book every 2 months to keep up. But this helps me keep up. But yeah, and this is a customer, a long-term customer of the Hatter Bookshop, and this is one of the reasons I'm a book hunter, because, like I say, we're trying to collect some very specific things sometimes. Oh, this one I got, and I don't know if the bookstore needs it or not. This is one of my favorite westerns, and it's one of the great early westerns. It's seminal western work. It's of course The Virginian by Owen Wister and the Bantam Classics. Got the leather feeling stuff, nice end papers. No, this one doesn't have illustrations. And of course, it's from their greatest historical novels line. I'm thinking the store already has at least one in inventory. And I have it's a Reader's Digest. I have one of the Reader's Digest Classics editions. Uh, I'll see if the store needs it. If they don't, it'll go on what I call my reserve shelf, because eventually they will. Uh, I've been quite an evangelist for this book since I read it. In fact, if you look back in my back catalog of videos, you'll see a video I did about my grandmother Butler's book recommendations, and this was one of the ones she recommended to me. Once again, when I was middle school age, and this is the one that I think she actually read, as opposed to the other one, which I guarantee she did not. Let's see. Ah, a nice serviceable copy of A Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. I already have a copy good for me, and even after hundreds of years, it continues to be a very well loved, very sought out piece of Christian literature. Um, and I appreciate it for what it is. It's, as you can see, very ex-library, and some of these books I have already made efforts to make them less ex-library. I may let the Hatter do this one, but like I say, once again, something for their classic section. Okay, what have we got? Oh, yeah, another couplet. Once again, same book sale, different parts of the room, but I've got The Giver and Number of the Stars, both by Lois Lowry. Giver, of course, been adapted for film. Of course, Newbery Award winner. It's got the medallion. Very popular books. Very popular books. I recall hanging out in the store about a year ago, and a lady came in and wanted this book, and I said, "We can get you a copy if you can wait 15 minutes." But anyway, and and I did not realize Number of the Stars. It's also got um, the Newbery medallion on it as well. Dystopian science fiction and a Holocaust story. But I get why Lois Lowry is still very, very popular. She writes very well. Um, but anyway, both are lucky enough to get both in the same haul, and of course they're both going to the Hatter. Let's see what's up next. Oh, a little guilty pleasure from the 90s. A novel based on the X-Files TV show. This one's titled Antibodies, I should say, by Kevin J. Anderson. Kevin J. Anderson, who, along with Brian Herbert, writes Dune fan fiction. Yeah. Anyway, I try and get TV and movie tie-ins when I can. The show X-Files was a cult classic, and there are still a few of us kicking around, 40 and 50 somethings, who remember the show fondly. And might be tempted to pick this up if they're in the store or see it online. And a Star Wars novel in that same vein, Champions of the Force, also by Kevin J. Anderson. Um, I won't call him a hack, but he does have that reputation with some people. And this is one of the early extended universe Star Wars novels. Unfortunately, this is volume 3 of the Jedi Academy trilogy. I remember when the Jedi Academy stuff was coming out, I had some friends who read it. Um, I no, I can honestly say no. I've read some of the novelizations for in fact, I've read the novelizations for episodes 4, 5, and 6, everything from New Hope to Return of the Jedi, but I've not read anything else in the Star Wars canon. Anyway, it still proves popular. So let's just go on to the store and hopefully I'll find a good home. Ah, we're getting close to the bottom of the bag, believe it or not. This one is I was very, very glad to find. This is, of course, Son of a Witch by Gregory Maguire. This is the middle book in a trilogy. Uh, very glad I found it because the first book in the trilogy is a little work called Wicked, which you probably know is a major motion picture in theaters now. There were 3 books in the trilogy. The first is, of course, Wicked. The second is Son of a Witch. And the third is, oh, what's it called? I'm ashamed of myself because I actually found the third book earlier in the week. A Lion Among Men. A Lion Among Men. So I've gotten 2 out of the 3. And for folks who enjoyed the film and want to read more about it, these are great books. In any event, like I say, there's some other stuff he's written, which I think I found before. Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. I think I found that out on the hunt sometime back. I don't remember exactly when, but anyway, Son of a Witch. And look at this. It's in great shape. It's one of the early trade paperbacks because it's got that cover. Beautiful art. And it can be yours. All right. Good. I only have 4 books left because I'm getting cold. All right. Real quick. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, second book in the Harry Potter series, the original Harry Potter series. Used bookstores cannot keep this, even to this day, even like literally decades later. And it's in decent shape. And in fact, Harry Potter is one set of books or series where if it's in fair condition, I'll snag it. Because like I say, people still want it. They have fond memories of either reading it as a child or reading it with their kids. So if you want to return to Hogwarts, there it is. At the Hatter soon. Personal favorite of mine, some classic science fiction. A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr. One of great. Belinda. Hello. If you were watching the video of me freezing to death out in the cold after the library sale, I probably did something wrong. I had a technical mishap and the video stopped for whatever reason. But there was one book left that I just had to cover because, to my mind, is one of my favorites out of the sale. And the background behind me, this is the Hatter bookstore that you hear me talking about all the time. And the staff is kind enough to let me finish up here. Just will have one book left that I want to talk about. Like I say, my favorite out of the sale, and also probably the biggest book I've ever hauled. The Beatles Anthology by the Beatles. And of course, this monstrous book is full of photographs and texts and doodles and all sorts of fun stuff. If you are a Beatles fan, you're going to want this book. And from here, it doesn't have to travel very far because this is where you will buy it. As I said, let me duck out of the way. This is the reading room at the Hatter. My first video at the Hatter, and who knows, there might be more to come. In any event, sorry again for the technical difficulties. Hopefully this video isn't horribly long. And I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching, and please hunt safely.